Welcome to the Modise Network. In another week of political high drama, the Secretary General of the ANC, Ace Magashule, issued a late-night statement accusing former Minister Derek Hanekom of conniving with the economic freedom fighters against the party. Former President Jacob Zuma referred to Hanekom as an enemy agent. Other developments include the ongoing court cases and investigations by the public protector against President Cyril Ramaphosa and Minister Pravin Gordhan, and lately the Commissioner of Revenue Services, Edward Kisveta. How are these incidents affecting the performance of the government under Ramaphosa? Political analyst and researcher Judith February will look at the political environment and the growing influence of the EFF on government and ANC politics. The new Minister of Public Works, Patricia de Lille, will share with us her ideas on how to improve governance and performance. She has vowed to pay service providers within 30 days and to introduce lifestyle audits in their department. And given the changes to the nature of work and opportunities, the United Nations has embarked on a program to promote and assist countries in providing fourth industrial-related education in the form of coding. I will be speaking to a global leader and director of World Wide Web Foundation, Mariam Jam from Senegal. Stay with us. Well, this has been a drama-filled week for President Cyril Ramaphosa, and most recently going in and out of the courts, at least filing affidavits with the courts in response to the public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane. As if that was not enough, a late-night statement issued by the Secretary General of the ANC criticizing an NEC member, Derek Hanekom, and saying that he is a charlatan and that he may have spied on behalf of the opposition parties. And all of these things are happening in the midst of a slow-moving economic meltdown, high unemployment rates, and no growth at all. So what is to be done, and what options does Cyril Ramaphosa have as leader of this nation? Judith February joins me to discuss these myriad of issues. And welcome, Judith. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Hello, Tim. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, the issue of the public protector has become a very topical one, and there are several court cases on the go at the moment. And of course, with the Constitutional Court also finding that she should pay a portion of the costs of legal costs of the Reserve Bank most recently. But even that judgment has a bearing on what is going on with the public protector. But let's analyze the type of investigations that she is conducting at the moment. Tell me, what do you read into what you see?
Well, Tim, I think that it has become clear that the Public Protector's Office has become weaponized in a sense. The Constitutional Court judgment, which was handed down this week, was absolutely damning. It looked at the way in which she was running investigations, said that she had hidden certain facts, accused her of obfuscating, and also of making misstatements, and also of misrepresenting facts. Now, one could say that if a court says that you're misrepresenting facts, that is simply a very polite way of saying that you are lying or hiding the truth. And it's very, very important for us to note that the Office of the Public Protector is a constitutional body and therefore has to act independently, impartially, and without fear, favour or prejudice. And the court clearly found that in this case she had exceeded her mandate, but also the way in which she has gone about presenting certain evidence to the court. Tim, I think it's very seldom that the court will make a costs order, what in law is called de bonis propriis, against somebody's person. And so for the court to make such a finding is really damning, and I think it is important, and it speaks to her unsuitability for office, and that she really should, if it was anybody else with any sense of pride in one's work and also sense of protection for the office of the Public Protector, they would have resigned immediately after that judgment.
Well, The Office of the Public Protector, or the person in the Office of the Public Protector, Advocate Modise Kobane, has become contested terrain in her own right? Not only before the courts, but even amongst political parties. In recent times, the EFF saying that they support her, the DA calling for her to appear before Parliament, and the ANC also changing its stance in most recent times. It looks like they are calling for her head and would like her to appear before Parliament. What does that do to the reputation of the office as well as that of the person?
Well, one always has to be careful to sort of separate the office from the person. And I think on Sunday evening, when President Ramaphosa announced that he would be reviewing the report that she had issued making findings against him, that he had misled Parliament, she said either deliberately or inadvertently, he was very clear to separate his criticism of her report from her actual person. But in fact, it's very difficult to do so because she is obviously intrinsically linked with this office. The leadership starts at the top. And it seems as if she, Tim, has been cherry-picking the cases that she wants to take on. She's chosen to take on, despite the fact that she's come to Parliament saying that she has severe budget restraints. She has dug up cases against Pravin Gordhan around the SARS rogue unit, Ivan Pillay, matters which have already been settled. There have been 10 investigations into the rogue unit, yet our public protector believes that she needs to spend all her resources on that. Last night we heard that she is going to be following up on a complaint around the appointment of SARS Commissioner Edward Kisvetter. She's gone hell for leather for the President as well. And so these are very confusing times. But I do think that what this does is, it seems as if she is cherry-picking. It seems as if she's going for certain individuals who are trying to reform and clean up the state, Pravin Gordhan, Ramaphosa, Kisvetter and so on, while ignoring other cases. The Freda dairy matter is a case in point. And what this does is it reduces public trust in this very important constitutional institution, and it also diminishes the legitimacy and the credibility of this office, because, as we've discussed earlier, this Constitutional Court judgment went to the very heart of her conduct in that office. And institutions are only as strong as the individuals who head them up and the individuals who populate them. And she is quite simply has been found severely wanting in her role.
And why has the Minister of Public Enterprises become such a person of focus, particularly for the EFF and, of course, the Public Protector? I mean, the talk is that it's got to do with the rogue unit and so forth. The EFF refers to Pravin Gordhan as a constitutional delinquent and have taken a step of trying to block him from speaking in Parliament on the basis of that. But one can tell that there's a lot of heat around Pravin Gordhan. And when people like yourself and others speak in his defense or analyzing this matter, you are said to be a cabal of sorts, or Pravin Gordhan's defense force, so to speak. Just tell me a little bit more about the interest in Pravin Gordhan.
Well, Tim, I think it goes back a long way. It goes back to when Pravin Gordhan was SARS Commissioner. It goes back to when he was Minister of Finance. And he has run a very tight ship wherever he has been. And, of course, because he was SARS Commissioner, he knows where some skeletons are hidden around certain joining the dots between some members within the ANC and also members of the EFF. You do recall the relationship between Julius Malema and Mazzotti with regard to cigarette smuggling. Also the tax evasion case against Julius Malema, which suddenly was made to go away when Tom Moyani became SARS Commissioner. So there are many ethical questions around these individuals, and it seems as if the Public Protector is being used in this battle. And so people know that Pravin Gordhan will not give an inch, that he is a man of principle and he is a man of his word. And certainly at public enterprises, where you have the state-owned enterprises, the main source of tenders and the way in which the state was captured, Gordhan is not going to allow those institutions to once again be captured. And there are individuals within the EFF and also a faction of the ANC, so the radical economic transformers, who clearly believe that it is not in their best interest for Gordhan to be in that position. And so here we are fighting over the carcass, Tim, in effect, of a state which is our finances. Yesterday, Tito Mboweni said we're in a dire situation. And here we are fighting over the carcass around who gets what in this wanting to seize the state, yet again for the purposes of capture. And then we mustn't forget former President Zuma's testimony at the Zondo Commission, for example, where he is threatening to name names and to name spies and so on. It's all part of the same narrative, just a different day. And I think for all of us, we need to keep our eyes focused. We need to keep our eyes on the ball and on what the long game is here, because it really is, to use that tired cliche, a battle for the soul of South Africa and for the heart of the state.
Let's go back to, I think the matter is still under investigation, that of investigation into how the SARS Commissioner Edward Kisveta was appointed. One would have thought that a month or two ago when this happened, it was an open, transparent process. But what are the new issues now around his appointment?
Tim, I have no idea, and this goes back to our previous discussion, because we don't know on what basis it is that the public protector sort of chooses these matters. Apparently, what I have read is that there have been 2 anonymous complaints came in about the process. The individuals are anonymous; they don't want to be named, it is within the president's remit to appoint this person. And so he did by forming a panel and trying to make it as transparent as possible. So it's very difficult to know where she is headed with this. But I think that that's not the point. It's almost as if you throw enough mud, eventually some of it might stick. She has a very scattergun approach. And the obfuscation is intriguing, because what happens is that if you create enough chaos, if you create enough obfuscation, as Jacob Zuma is doing at the Zondo Commission, eventually nobody knows what's going on anymore. Everybody's very distracted. And so it provides an opportunity for those individuals with sort of mala fides to in fact continue to do their work in the dark, in a sense. And I think that is where this public protector is where she is headed, and certainly, as I said earlier, her office is being weaponized. She has now inserted herself very directly into the political debate, and this can, it's going to drag on and have consequences, but she may very well also be hoisted by her own petard.
Judith February, we will be continuing our conversation in a moment, and later on looking at the ANC NEC as well as the role that President Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to play to stabilize the country's affairs. We'd like to hear your views on the social media platforms, the hashtag the Modise network. Let's hear what you've got to say about these very public issues. We'll be back in a moment.